every brand should have more than its name. So people can judge me on my name. Absolutely, go for it. Fuck being humble. God, that sounds awful, doesn't it? I'm fine with that. But when you then look at the multiple layers to my business of the amount of people I've helped, the campaigns I've run, the support systems that I offer to people, the products that I've launched, the campaigning, the connection I've had with people, I'm like to hope that at least one of those things would strike up an emotional response from someone in a positive way. And again, if it doesn't, absolutely fine. But I know I'm doing lots of different things to help people in many different ways. And if you judge me on the name fuck being humble, that's actually your loss, that you didn't take a step further to actually understand what the business is about and to benefit like all the other people have.
I think what you do is so needed. I think particularly in today's society where one of the amazing things about social media is that it's given people a platform.
Yeah.
And I've benefited from that. You've benefited from that. I love it. But I also think the flip side of that is people in real life don't have the same confidence in many ways as they have online, and therefore are missing out on opportunities. And I feel like your message resonates with me so much because I think having confidence, or pretending that you've got the confidence, at least in the beginning, to ask for things and even ask for help. Like when I was younger, I would never have asked anyone for help because I was like, I have to do this myself. Because if I don't do it myself, then I'm in some way worse than everyone else. And like it has to be done.
Yeah.
I think that is something we need to teach in schools. Yeah. Like where was the lessons about like self-belief and self-promotion and asking for help, asking for mentors, asking for a pay rise, asking for, okay, well, you told me if I would do this and I did that and then that did, like, where's that? Because that is a much more important skill than fucking algebra.
It's a huge gap. It's a huge gap in the
I actually think it's the number one thing actually that impacts every single person in this room's and world's life is confidence.
Yeah. And self-belief. I think it's so important. And I was laughing with a friend the other day about doing general studies and how we intentionally flunked it at A-levels so that we could go spend our time on more important things, whether that be a job that we were actually learning on or whether it was investing in the studies that we were most interested in. But yeah, why there wasn't, job prep, CV prep, interview prep. I do a lot of guest lecturing at universities. This week I've actually been speaking at Graduate Fashion Week, helping all the shortlisted students, give them a big pep talk before they go in the rooms and they share their work to be judged by the judges. And it's been so interesting seeing them like bag of nerves, not knowing, like it was great. Apparently it was like every day it was the most attended session. They all really wanted the help. They needed it, but they don't. What's really unfortunate for Gen Z and is it Alpha?
Alpha, yeah.
Yeah. Is that they did miss out on a lot of the socializing side of things, which is where you build a lot of confidence and communication
resilience
skills.
As well.
I also have a theory that a lot of them might not have done a crappy Saturday job like many millennials and previous generations did.
I got fired for my first job.
Yeah, I mean, I got some hilarious first job stories. But that's also where you build resilience.
Yeah.
It's where you learn that you have to do crap things. It's where
boring things.
But yeah, you have to. So I used to work at Barrett's Shoes.
I love
Awful
that for you.
Destination, really. And if you didn't, literally, if you didn't sell the shoe care, which was like the suede protector and stuff, you had to hoover the shop floor. And I was awful at doing shoe care. So every week I was hoovering the shop floor. And I remember being like, this is too much. I'm not doing this anymore. I was not put in this planet to hoover the shop floor on minimum wage as well. Like £3
Back
an
then
hour.
It was like £4.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I remember like researching all of the shoe care and being like, I'm going to be a best seller. And I did actually eventually get much better at selling. But I think a lot of these moments at this early stages, so from 16 to 21, then they've missed out on those things. So then they're going straight into a workplace that does feel quite intimidating and scary, expecting with previous generations, expecting them to have a better understanding in this space. Yeah. And I actually don't blame them that they don't. And a lot of people's mental health was affected. So I could see parents not pushing them to go get those Saturday jobs or not pushing them to leave their room if they prefer gaming. And, so I can see some of the reasons why people's confidence, it's actually getting worse in this space. Agree. Whilst I think we have an a generation of influencers and people who love spotlighting their life, I think we also have a big group of people that are really not confident, and they are a bag of nerves, and these career defining moments will continue to be difficult unless we help. So I'm really passionate about supporting that age group. I do a lot of work with the Prince's Trust, working with people from disadvantaged areas and who haven't had access to higher education and things like that, because it's really hard when you don't have people telling you, what do you want to be? You could do anything.
Taking an interest in your
life. Really
life.
Taking an interest. And some of my most favorite work when I get to do that, because it feels like if we can help them at the earlier stages, we'll see less imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
We'll see less of the gender pay gap. We'll see less of people going into poverty and these things that we're seeing, because they had somebody say to them at that point, I believe that you could do any of these things.
Yeah.
And it's so important. And I think self-belief is so representative or so empowered by the people you have around you. And I know I've been really fortunate to have like a dad who thinks I'm like the best person in the world, along with my other siblings. My partner is incredibly supportive. I have an army of WhatsApp chats with cheerleaders and groups that support me. I have like my work wives. Like, I know recently I've really seen how much that support allows me to be as brave as I am.
What advice would you give to someone who doesn't have that but wants it? Don't
settle with your current network. So when I moved to London, I didn't know anyone. I was literally from Leeds. I lived in Manchester. I had my 3 uni mates who were all partnered off. So they, I saw them when they weren't hanging out with their partners, which is a very classic thing. And I didn't know anybody. I joined a startup with 2 bosses, no other employees. So I didn't even have work friends. And I was like, I don't want to sit around and be lonely. I don't want to do this. So, I mean, London in particular, incredible networking events. Just get out there every time. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, just go put yourself in these spaces. You can't meet people unless you're in rooms with them.
Don't let that define you. Like, I think it's so easy for people to be like, well, I'm an introvert. I can't do that.
I'm ready to like ban those words altogether, because I believe an introvert is actually a better networker than an extrovert, because they won't go into the room talking about themselves, right? I talk about this I have a networking workshop and a chapter in my book where I talk about the fact that you're more likely to ask questions about other people and better pitch yourself at the end of it than the extrovert who's like, give me the mic. And I know, because I'm an extrovert and I used to be that person, so I can speak very confidently on that topic. But yeah, I think it is really important to never accept what you've got. And even to this day, I still add people into my network every week, every month, every year, because why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Like, we live in a world where we're so interconnected. We have all these digital tools. We can travel more freely. There's so many great things. And so I keep adding these incredible people that are helping me expand, or I see things differently, or just putting in a favor for me here and there. And I think, networking in person, sliding into people's DMs, 100%.
That is my favorite thing.
It's like how I would say 80% of my network is sliding into people's DMs.
100%. I have a rule at the minute where I'm like, I need to send 7 messages a day.
Yes.
Seven like connection requests a day on LinkedIn.
Sophie Miller from Pretty Little Marketing says that. Six connections a day.
Yes, I'm doing 7 a day. I am sending 3 messages to ask for coffees a week. So, and the idea being that I will meet at least 1 new person in real life every single week.
Great.
And I've kind of worked out that's roughly what I need to do. 7 connection requests, 3 messages.
That's great.
1 thing. And I've been doing that now for a couple of weeks. And some of the conversations, some of the people I'm meeting are like mental. Yeah. And I know I'm obviously doing it strategically because I want these people in my network and I think that I can benefit them, but I also think they can benefit me, and they're nice people and like all of those things. But I know long term, them knowing me and me knowing them is going to be fabulous. So whether it be that they need some help with what we do, or whether I just spoke to a CEO yesterday who I've known for 2 years, never met, but like connected with 2 years ago. And he was like, yeah, cool, I can help you with that. Boom, 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 boom. Speak to this person, speak to this person. And I was like, I would never have had that opportunity to ask that particular person who was the perfect person to ask had I not been connected to him for the last 2 years.
So there's the concept of weak ties and strong ties. And strong ties are people who are your inner circle. Yeah. They should have already helped you by promoting your business or posting it on LinkedIn or whatever. But they actually only have a certain amount of reach because they would have done it already if they could get you that client or they could get you that job, right? So then weak ties, the next level of people who maybe you have met once, or you've been connected with them on LinkedIn for 3 years, but you've only ever liked each other's posts. They're the people that I'm noticing at the moment that are showing up for
advocate
me.
for you.
And I talk about it in my sessions, but also in the book as well, where I say, like, I used to go to networking events and look at people's name badges and be like, not senior enough, can't speak to you, like, because I was looking to get budgets for projects when I was, and actually, as soon as I realized that it was actually easier to build connections with people who are on my level or more junior, and they were more likely to go put in that request or support me than the more senior person, because the more senior person's busy, was when I started to realize, like, don't judge people by their titles or by a cover, right? So it's that classic thing of you know, even I will make the effort to meet people who would be like, oh, I'm fangirling you right now.
Yeah.
Because there may not be an obvious exchange, but almost every interaction I've had recently with a weak tie, someone's like, oh, I could hook you up with that person.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a genuine appreciation for
and they
my
want to
time.
help you.
They want to help.
Yeah.
And likewise, they know that me sparing my time and or offering them in return is beneficial to them. So I do, I think never settle for that network. You can digitally network so well at the moment. And I think ask for instructions.
Yeah, I agree.
We do not do this enough, where you say to people like, I can see you're connected with someone. If you'd be open to it, I'd be really keen to speak to them. You know, I'm looking to get an introduction into this space, or I'm looking to get a mentor. Cindy Gallop says it, where she's like, don't ask me to keep an eye out for jobs. She's like, it's too general. Ask for an introduction to the woman at Microsoft who looks after the jobs. Yeah. Because I will do that one action in 5 minutes. Yeah. But if you ask me to constantly always be looking, why would I do that? Like, that's a lot of my energy. Yeah. So I honestly believe, like, I came to London with 0 contacts, and I have the most incredible network now that I know I can call up with any help or anything that I need, and people will help me immediately. And because I give back to them as well, but I think we can hold on to narratives of like, well, I'm not from here, or I can't do this, or whatever it is, when actually more people want to help than you think.
And that is a really important point to kind of, I think, hammer home, is a lot of people think I can't ask because what if someone says no? I've never asked for anything from anyone and had someone say no, ever.
I did a post on this recently where I met up with a woman in PR, and she said, you know, I'm always really keen to hear people's pitches, but for once it would be really nice if they offered me something in return. I was like, that's a really good insight, because I've sent loads of press releases to journalists before, but I've never said, can I do this for you or whatever? And I did a post on this, and I sort of gave some examples, like, say you wanted 30 minutes time with me, offer to buy my book for 10 quid and write an Amazon review, because that helps me as a business owner. Or, you know, people have asked me to speak on events before, and they're like, I haven't got any budget. Like, even if you bought like a £50 facial voucher, it shows that you do value me and my time. I'm not asking for loads. So like, a lot of the time, especially businesses asking you to work for free, my fee is not free, by the way.
I hate that. I had that really, so I met up with this, by the way, multi-million pound company recently. They wanted me to, spoke about personal branding. They really bought in, did the whole presentation, whatever. I get an email from their CEO saying, oh, we're doing our sales kickoff. Like, would you mind coming in and speaking to the guys? I was like, yeah, no problem. My fees is what it is. And he goes, oh, I thought you could like come and do it as a favor. And I said, no, that's my fee. And he goes, oh, big difference between a big corporate and, you know, startup. And I said, I appreciate
No way.
And I said, I appreciate your position. I hope you understand mine. And that was the last time I heard from them.
When I get asked to do free work, I say I'm not currently in a place to be accepting free work. Like, I'm prioritizing. And
I love that you do that.
I say I'm prioritizing paid opportunities.
Yeah, that is the best way to do it as well, because it's like a really politically correct way of being like.
And certain jobs I do for free, like full disclosure, whether it's like,
well, it's fame, fortune, fun, right? Like, those are the buckets that I put thing into. Like, I need to get paid. I have a fucking mortgage. I've got a team. I've got kids. Like, all that kind of stuff. But also, there are some things that I want to do. Like, I'm doing an event later on this year that I'm like, oh my God, bite your arm off for that. Yeah. Would you mind like covering my travel and stuff? Yeah. But then I'm there with disco pants on. Like, no worries.
That's the thing about, like, it's thinking about, if you can't afford or you can't offer things, like, what else can you do in return?
What's the value exchange?
No one is too small to be able to help someone with something. Yeah. And I think that's it. Like, you know, there's lots of ways that you can show your appreciation for people's time. Yeah. And going in with nothing is not that
a bit opportunist.
Yeah. And it's not to say that, you know, you could of course still have a chat with me, and I'm not expecting you to give me a voucher, but I'm just saying, often
it shows an appreciation, doesn't it? Which means you're much more amenable to want to help.
I think it's that reminder of like what that PR lady, like sometimes it'd be nice if someone offered me something in return. And I thought that's, so really when you're speaking to people that are often asked to give, actually what are you giving them?
In return,
I think it's a really important thing to remember.
One of the things that I say to people is if they're DMing mentors or like they're wanting to get someone to come on their podcast or whatever, just say, I'll pay for your time. Or I'll buy you a coffee, because no one ever is going to say, yeah, pay me.
Yeah.
Ever. But they will see like, oh, wow, okay, cool. This person does really respect the 15 minutes that I'm going to give them. So yeah, I absolutely believe that. And I think it's how you make people feel that's the most important thing.
For sure.